I'm Sari Kimbell, and I've done just about everything in the food industry. I have helped hundreds of packaged food business entrepreneurs, and now I want to help you make your delicious dream a reality. Whether you want to be successful at farmers markets, online, or wholesale onto store shelves, food business success is your secret ingredient. I will show you how to avoid an expensive hobby and instead run a profitable food business. Now let's jump in. Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I am really excited to kick off April and our money series. I'm going to be doing lots of episodes this month around money. And there's so many topics and practical things we can talk about, but we really got to get into a money mindset first. And I was thinking about who would be a great guest to talk to and really talk about money mindset concepts. And I am really excited to welcome my guest today, Jill Wright. And Jill and I were actually in a mastermind together, and she is a money coach. So she came to mind, and I reached out to her, and she generously said yes. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about her, and then I'm going to welcome Jill on. So Jill is the money mindset coach for life coaches and entrepreneurs, because a strong, secure mindset means a strong, secure business. In her best-selling book, Money Lies, The Sneaky Way Your Brain Sabotages Success in Your Business, Jill exposes 10 of the most common lies women believe about themselves as entrepreneurs or about making money in their business. She also has a Money Lies podcast that helps entrepreneurial women identify and challenge their limiting beliefs so she can go make the money she was made for. Because she believes you are made for more. I love that. So welcome, Jill. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Sari, for having me. I'm so excited to talk about my favorite topic.
Which is hilarious because most people don't love talking about this. In fact, they run away, want to stick their fingers in their ears. So
they avoid it as much as possible.
Yeah. I'm sure a lot of people even are looking at the title of this podcast and this month of talking about money, and they're like, maybe I'm going to skip these podcasts. And I'm just going to say that if you're feeling hesitant to talk about this or listen to this, it's probably because you need it really badly. So I think you are the perfect person to talk to about this. So let's just, I guess, talk a little bit more about what you do and why you chose this topic and why you feel like money is such an important area to coach on.
Yeah, it's because, when I first became a coach, I had to, of course, choose a niche. And I was listening to Dave Ramsey a lot at that time. And so finances, that type of topic was top of mind for me. And the one thing that I noticed when I was listening to his podcast was he had the market cornered on the prescription for getting out of debt and building wealth. But the gap that I saw was the behavior piece, the mindset piece, because, he has a great theory for, how to do all of that. And he has helped millions of people. But then I started thinking, what about the people that this doesn't work for? Why doesn't it work? Mm-hmm. And so I am just a big why person. And so I started seeing all of the gaps in people not being able to do what he was asking them to do because of their mindset. So it's just like, weight loss or fitness or anything else. We know exactly what we need to do, but we don't always do it because of the brain drama, right? Because of, what we would rather be doing or what we think we're not capable of.
That discomfort that comes up. Yeah, we were talking before we start recording that if you want to bring up all of your drama around money, become an entrepreneur, go start a business because it's all going to come up.
Yeah.
So you took all of that, you decided money coaching is my thing, the most uncomfortable topic for most of us to talk about, right? Sex and money,
Yeah.
especially in the United States. So you decided to become a coach, money coach for entrepreneurs, specifically women, which a lot
Yes.
of my listeners and a lot of people in food business success are women. And like I was telling you before, like, my people have these amazing, delicious ideas, and then all of the money drama, all of their lies come up. So I thought it would just be great to like, I can kind of give you some examples because I know you're not in the food industry, but
Yeah.
I kind of see the same recurring, you call them money lies. So maybe you
Yes.
can introduce that topic a little bit and then we can get into some of the things I see over and over again. And I think the really big challenges and blocks. And so hopefully we can help
Yeah.
people realize like, oh, that's my thing. How do I fix that?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny. I believe that all thoughts are recycled. So what we have, in the coaching industry, which, I coach coaches and entrepreneurs, but they have the same money thoughts. They have the same limiting beliefs around money as somebody in the food industry or really any industry. You can pick any industry and you're going to find the same thought patterns.
Yep.
And so I think, just talking about money lies will certainly help your folks understand when those come up and detect those money lies so they don't keep them stuck. And so a money lie is really just any limiting beliefs that keep you from moving forward, keep you from achieving the more that you're meant for. And it is not just around money because I coach people on everything, but they say what you believe about one thing is what you believe about all things, and that's why it doesn't matter what I happen to be coaching on in any particular coaching session. It all comes down to a limiting belief. And so a money lie is just a limiting belief that is keeping you from activating your power around money.
Right. So important because ultimately, I guess if we don't, what do you see happen if we don't address these limiting beliefs, these lies that we keep telling ourselves as entrepreneurs? What do you see happen if we don't? What's the consequence?
Well, the one thing I see is that we don't grow the way that we want to. We don't grow the way that we're called to.
Mm.
And therefore, we're not serving the people we were meant to serve. So it doesn't matter whether it's you're a coach or whether you're in the food business, right? You're serving customers. You have something that is of value to them. And when you're not showing up and providing that value, somebody is missing out on the value that you provide. So that's one thing. Your customers don't get what they want and need, and you don't build the life and the business that you want and need in order to fulfill your calling, your purpose, and your mission.
Oh, oh my gosh. I just like have to stay with that a minute because I was thinking I just like had flashes of all the amazing people I talk to on consults and come to me and they just have like the most delicious, the most amazing ideas and they feel a passion and a burning to get it out in the world, but then they don't go anywhere with it because I think these lies are what hold them back. But I know that they're so passionate. And like the world needs this delicious bread or this delicious sauce or whatever it is. Like somebody out there needs this, and that's so good. Oh,
Yeah, there's so many talented women in the world that, could have such a big impact. And I think when we stay small, we don't necessarily recognize the impact that something like food can have on other people, and especially if it's if it's your zone of genius, sometimes it's hard to recognize how much that impacts somebody because it comes so easy to you.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a big part of it too. It's easier to stay small than to, get out there and be subject to whatever the world, whatever feedback the world has. And, the lies are always easier to believe than the truth, but the truth is always kinder than whatever lies we're believing, right? It's never, the feedback is never as bad as we imagine it, right? We build up this big thing about how bad it's going to be. And the truth is always like so much kinder than what we're thinking and believing it's going to be.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Yeah, because that's that whole like, what's the worst that could happen? And if people will let me go down that path with them and like, well, let's answer it, right? And then you're like, well, actually, that's not that bad.
Yeah, exactly.
But in our heads, we're like, oh my gosh, like mine is always, I'm going to be at a van down by the river. Apparently, Chris Farley, I got in my brain. And finally, one of my friends said, where do you get this van from? It's like, yeah, that's true. Where do I get a van from if I'm like dirt poor
Destitute, yeah.
destitute and I like lose everything? Somehow I manifest a van and all of that. So anyway, okay.
Our brains are so funny.
So I was reading your book, which people can pick up on Amazon. I bought that when you first released it because I remember you were getting people, like letting people know. So I love it.
It's definitely a labor of love.
I'm sure. I don't even want to know how many hours it took to write and record and all of that good stuff. But so thank you for writing it. So let's talk about one of your first ones or one of the lies. And definitely I see this especially with women, playing small and worthiness. And I think even what we were just talking about, like you have something to give to the world, but you don't think it's enough or you have what it takes. But can you tell me more about like how that shows up, what that looks like, playing small?
Yeah. And I see this in so many of my clients, and I've been there several times myself where it's just, putting yourself out there in the world, especially when it's something that you have invested so much of yourself in, is hard stuff, right? It makes you feel so vulnerable. But, it is, and so it's so easy to just not do it, because if you're afraid of failing, which a lot of my clients are, and I'm sure there are a lot of women out there that are afraid to do it wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or to disappoint somebody, or to waste time, or to sacrifice, whatever time with their family. All of that makes it easier to just not do it. But all that's doing is failing ahead of time. And so I have not met a client yet that is actually not good enough, right? All of my clients are amazing and wonderful. And, I'm sure that you can say the same thing about your clients, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just recognizing that, what you believe is completely optional, right? There's no proving that you're not enough or that you're not good enough. There's no way to prove that.
Yeah.
What would that even look like? Most of my clients, when I ask them that question, can't even tell me the answer to that question. Like, I don't know. I never thought about it like that before. So, and I think a lot of what comes into play is this need for security. Women have a huge need for security and certainty, I think, just in general. But security comes from your mind. Money can't make us feel secure. Job can't make us feel secure. nothing, no circumstance, right? No thing in the world can make us feel secure. Only we can make ourselves feel secure. And that happens by what we believe. And so when our strongest security lies in us, we have complete control over that, right? That's what gives us security, is because we know that we can just hang in there and just keep going. That's where your security comes from.
Yeah. You're always going to figure it out. You're going to find a way. Yeah.
Yeah, because the only way to fail is to quit.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and I see a lot of that. I mean, I see that's another one is the stops and starts and the quitting on ourselves ahead of time, and then they pick it back up, right? That there's these kind of surges of like commitment and like I'm gonna finally do it, and then they get a little ways down the path. For my people, there's a lot of Googling and a lot of overwhelm and misinformation and and just confusion and overwhelm. And so you talk about that lie is that I must not want it bad enough, which is so good. It's
Yeah.
great.
And yeah, where that comes from is when we don't take the action, then we make that mean that we must not want it bad enough. But that's not what it has to mean at all. The reason that we don't take an action is because of how we feel, and how we feel comes from what we're believing. So it is, again, completely within your control. And a lot of times I see my clients, they make not showing up in their business or not doing what they said that they would do, not keeping that commitment to themselves, mean that, they must not be all in, or there must be something wrong with them, or they're doing it wrong, right? And what that does is it makes them show up even smaller. And so then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. That belief that they don't know what they're doing, or they don't know how, or they must not want it bad enough, creates that result. And so it just keeps reinforcing what they're already believing.
Yeah, it does seem to be a self-perpet, like this flywheel that keeps starting and stopping. And I have people come to me when they're in my program and they come on their calls and they feel bad. They're like, I know it's been a couple months. I'm so sorry. Like I'm so far behind. And I like to say, like, you're not far. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. Like, I'm so glad you're back. I never want people to feel shamed or like we're so hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, you're in the right place. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. Let's pick it up from here. But oh man, we beat ourselves up so much.
Yeah. And just recognizing that what you focus on grows. So if what you're focusing on is what you're not doing, if what you're focusing on is what you don't have or what you don't know, right, that's what's going to grow. But if you focus on what you do have, what you are doing, what you do know, then that's what's going to grow, right? So it's just recognizing what is it that you want to grow, what is it that will support your business best, and then focusing on that. And so, compassion, grace, celebrating all of your wins, the most tiny win to even just showing up, right? Even if you failed, the win is that you showed up.
Right.
And so celebrating those things. Now, I have a client that's one of the things that I had her do when she first started working with me, because she was beating herself up all the time and she was giving herself no grace, no compassion, and she wasn't recognizing all the things that she was doing in her business. And so one of the first things I had her do was every day, we have a Slack channel that we communicate in, and every day I asked her to post a win or more than one in the Slack channel And so she did. She celebrated something every single day. And like she is doing so much more in her business, and she has come so far in the short time that we've been together. And I think a lot of it is attributed to that habit that she's developed of celebrating herself and celebrating who she is, what she's doing well. Even if there's improvements, she celebrates what it is that she showed up to do and what it was that she did well, even if it didn't have the outcome that she wanted.
Mm. That's so good. Yeah, I have a podcast episode about celebrating wins. I'll put it in the show notes. People should definitely go look at it. But I mean, that's such a practical tip for our money mindset and how we can make shifts. Is it's the same circumstance, right? Like
Yes.
it can be the exact same thing, but what was terrible about it, or what did I learn from that experience? How did that help me grow in making a daily practice of it?
Yeah. And when you celebrate something, then your brain gets the idea, oh, that was a good thing we did. Let's do more of that.
Yeah.
And so it, instead of perpetuating the downward spiral, it perpetuates, the cycle of, keep going, keep showing up, keep doing these things that may feel uncomfortable, but that you can ultimately celebrate.
Yeah. My sisters and mom and I, we started a chain and during COVID, and I said, I just feel like I need to have some, I'm in isolation. I need somebody to tell like my wins. And so we started doing that. We haven't done it for a while, but where I would just say like, I just got to like, you guys can share too, but I just need to tell you something great that happened in my day to focus on that. And that's such an easy one you could do with friends or with me. Like people can, like we have our private Facebook group, like let's celebrate those wins in there. So it's a great one.
Yeah.
And I think that can really go a long way to building up your confidence. It's just like what you're focusing on and get you out of the I'm not worthy stuff and playing small where you're like, dang, I'm a badass. Look at all.
Exactly.
You start looking at the accumulation, right? Of 10 days, 20 days, 30 days. And it's huge.
Yeah.
Everything.
And it builds up your relationship with yourself too, because that is one of the most important. Even in my book, I talk about the two most important relationships in building a business is the relationship you have with yourself and the relationship you have with money. So when you show up and you celebrate those wins, then you build that relationship with yourself. And when you build that relationship, then you start to show up more. Because, I mean, if you think about any relationship that you value, right, you're always going to keep showing up for that person. So if you have a relationship with money that's healthy and you have a relationship with yourself that's healthy, then just like if you have a healthy relationship with your husband, your kids, your parents, your siblings, you'll want to keep showing up for them, right? So you'll want to keep showing up for yourself. You'll want to keep showing up for money, and you'll want to stay committed to building that kind of relationship.
Yeah, I'll share something that two things that I think are kind of practical money mindset changers for me, because I definitely, I mean, just like all of us or most of us, I definitely have my fair share of scarcity and my money lies and money issues. And my grandmother passed away last year, and she left us a little bit of money, and I went and got it all cashed in $100 bills. It was a couple $1,000s, and I just put money around the house. So like if you come over to my house, like there's $100 bill in front of me. So
I love that.
And it reminds me of her in some way, right? And she was always so generous, but also like it starts to shift my like, oh, I've never, that relationship with money, like there's never enough and I never have it. And oh, my wallet's empty again. to look, there's $100.
There's money everywhere.
There's money
That's
everywhere.
a very useful belief.
Yeah. So that's one thing I've been doing. And then I also decided to take some of that money and do a generosity challenge because I think that's an area where the more I see that the more I give away, the more it comes back to me in ways I didn't plan on, didn't expect. But it feels like it grows this relationship with money where it doesn't feel like, oh, I got to hang on to it.
Yeah.
And it's really gotten me out of my comfort zone just approach people, give it away, give somebody a big fat tip that wasn't expecting it, or it's actually been really fun. But it's something that I actually see a lot in entrepreneurs is that they want people to pay them money for their product, but then they're unwilling to kind of spend money with other entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah.
They want to hold that money really, really close. And I think, but then they also want people to give them money, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's sort of like a contradiction in their brain, when they're hoping that somebody gives them money, but they're also hoping that they don't have to spend money. So that's a conflict. That's almost a conflict of interest if you want to look at it like that, where, yeah, I want other people to spend money, but I don't want to spend money. And so, there's two conflicting beliefs. Spending money is wrong, and asking for money, right? There's probably going to be some resistance there. And I noticed that with some of my clients, when they come to me, they don't like to be sold to. So they also don't like to sell.
Right.
Right. So they have this underlying belief it's wrong to sell, or it's sleazy, or it's greedy, or whatever. And so therefore their brain, kind of locks up with when they go to do the sales part of their calls. And so that really does hold them back. So those are the kind of money lies that you want to detect and expose and start to question, what makes that wrong or what makes that greedy, so that you can shift that mindset around that particular.
And just really question that, which I want to get into that one a little bit more, because you had one of your lies is it's wrong to make money at the expense of other people, like asking for the sale. And so let's just take, a lot of my products, people making products at this stage, they're expensive. They're compared to like a mainstream grocery store, right? They're making a high quality gluten-free bread that is organic and in sustainable packaging. And there's a lot of value there. But then I see that freeze up of like, well, no one's going to pay $12 for this loaf. And then that stuckness of like, I don't want to ask for the sale. Is it worth it? So how do you help people kind of uncover and dig out of that whole
this
whole
is
piece?
Actually one of my favorite areas to talk about. So you might have to stop me if I get off on a roll.
All right.
One of the most helpful resources that I recommend to people, and I won't say that it's an easy read, but it's definitely valuable when it comes to this perspective of it's wrong to make money at the expense of other people. And it's a book called Thou Shalt Prosper by Rabbi Daniel Lapin. And it's an excellent book to get a better perspective on what it actually means to make money, what it means about you, and more importantly, what it doesn't mean about you. If you think about, is it wrong for the electric company to make money at the expense of its customers? We wouldn't ever think that that's a problem, right? Because they're providing value in exchange for the money that you pay them, or to pay for groceries, or to get a bill from your doctor, right? So, one thing that they can do is just notice how they feel and notice what makes them feel this way. What underlying beliefs about money or about people who are in business to make money, what is there, and start to explore that a little more. So I had this one client who felt like when she started working with me, she felt like it was wrong to charge what she called more than her clients could afford. Well, what her clients can afford, that's a matter of interpretation, and that's a whole nother podcast episode.
Right.
But she was a teacher and she felt guilty that she was sort of, her prices eliminated, she thought, the possibility of them getting help. And she felt bad about that. So, but what I wanted her to see is that she wasn't like charging for her time. She was not asking for a donation, right? She was offering her expertise and she was offering tremendous value that came from work and experience that she had already done, experience that she had already gotten. And she was actually saving them money and saving them time and saving them the trouble of figuring it out on their own, because they were able to learn from the lessons that she had already learned the hard and the expensive way, right? She may have been suffering in her particular problem for a few years before she figured it out or before she found coaching or whatever. So, they're paying for, in your client's case, in packaged foods, they're paying for convenience. They're paying for the shortcuts that you're offering them. And if it's something of value, they'll be happy to pay you, just like I'm happy to pay my electric bill each month. And if they're not happy to pay you, then they're probably not your customer.
Exactly.
Right. So I think the biggest thing of overcoming that lie is just recognizing how much value you have and recognizing that all of these people that are buying your product all have free will. And it's really not about the price. It's about the experience. It's about how your product makes them feel. That's what they're paying for. And that's why your product is so valuable, is because of the love and the expertise and everything that you have put into that product. And that means something.
Yeah. Oh, so good. And I've gone through that with my own program, of course. Like, I want to be there. Food Business Success is designed for bootstrapping entrepreneurs. And part of me is like, oh, I wish I could just give it away for free. But I mean, I give away a ton of things for free, but I do think there's something so important. I mean, if you just gave your bread away for free all day long, like, people don't value it as much, right? They're like, yeah, I can just get that gluten-free bread anywhere, but any day, right? For free. Mm-hmm. But there is something really important about that transaction. Do you agree with that? That commitment?
Yeah, that value exchange is an important part of that experience, right? Because, I mean, just like you said, if you give it away for free, and I don't think this diminishes what we're doing that is free, but just recognizing, I think the biggest thing is the entrepreneur recognizing their own value, right? Because that brings something to the experience. So if you, and I've noticed this with my clients, when they have a lot of drama around that sales process, right, they bring this energy that doesn't give their potential clients a good experience, energetic experience, positive experience. And so when you infuse the sales process with this negative energy that this is wrong, this is, I'm not doing this right, or whatever, then you impart that into that transaction, right? And that changes the experience for both the seller and the customer.
Oh my gosh, 100%. I want to encourage actually everybody listening to go to their farmer's market, ideally go to a farmer's market and just walk around and observe people selling. and kind of observe their energy and their demeanor because, as people know by now, I own a farmer's market and I watch people a lot and I interact with a lot of vendors. And the ones that are like, come in with an energy of like, I love my product. My product is amazing. It's worth every penny. And here's why, like I have no problem selling my kombucha for $5 a bottle because it's amazing. And they're happy and they're excited to be there. I mean, people just, it doesn't matter where I put them. People are just drawn to them. They're a pleasure to be around. They're abundant with other people. I walk up and they're like, here, have a sample. And they're sharing with their neighbors. And you can feel it, it like creates this amazing, attractive energy versus, I had a guy who was mad about where he was and he just sat there slumped over in his chair on his phone and then complains about his sales. And it's like, or if you come in and you're like, I don't know if my product's good enough and it's kind of expensive. And so I encourage everybody to go and just be an observer of like, what makes a really great salesperson? And the same exercise would be true for going in and selling your product into a grocery store. Like you have to convince a buyer of that same value. So that's a great exercise, I think, to just start noticing what energy you're bringing to that sales because it does. It's infectious.
Yeah, I love that idea.
Yeah,
that's a great idea.
Very practical. Go out to your farmer's market and be generous. Go give away some money and give other people sales.
And look at the things that you enjoy buying and what makes that experience pleasurable for you. What makes, and look at the ones that you don't like, what makes it not a good experience, and start to notice because, sales is so much about emotions, right? We buy things because of how we think it will make us feel.
Yeah.
And so even just taking the focus off yourself and putting it on, how do I want my customers to feel when they buy this? And that will, stepping into the shoes of your customer, and how will this make them feel? And why do I want them to feel this way? I want them to feel good, right? Because it's not about me. It's about what I'm putting out into the world to make the world a better place, right?
Yeah.
To make people's lives more enjoyable.
Yeah. And people shouldn't diminish the power of food and drink for that. I mean, that's all. Like, talk about creating experiences. Like,
yes,
that's why I'm in this. Like, that's all it does is create experiences. And we kind of got out of order, but that's okay. The I don't know how. This is a big one for me, especially with women. I have a couple clients in mind when I think about this, especially around money. I have one client that I don't know how many times she said to me, like, I just can't get this cash flow right. I can't figure it out. I don't know how to do this. And it's like, of course you don't know how. Like, you've never run a business before, but this is definitely an objection I get a lot. And I'm sure you hear this a lot too. So help expose this lie for us.
Yeah. And I've believed this lie myself. I mean, I was taking a copywriting certification course and so many of the assignments, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. I don't know how. And one day I was like, you know what? I have to get this assignment done. There is no way around it. So what are my options, right? If I don't know how, what are my options? And what the question that came to me was, what do I know? Right? How can I leverage that in this situation? And what can I do to find out? Who can I ask? Who knows the answer? What it's about asking the right questions. And so I am known in my life coaching circles as, the person that asks the powerful questions.
Mm.
And so that's what, I mean, this is probably one of the best skill sets that you can have as an entrepreneur to manage your mind, is to learn how to ask yourself better questions. So that's one of them. What are my options? It's a huge go-to for me because it helps cut out the drama. Like, okay, so I don't know how. What am I going to do about it? So what? Now what? What am I going to do? How am I going to solve this problem? And so this kind of gets into, I have a theory that there are really only three ways to solve any problem in your business. And those three ways are: put more resources to it. Now, resources could mean a lot of different things. It could mean time, money, energy, attention, focus, knowledge, experience, right? So, is it just a resource problem? So, if you don't know how, is it something that you just have to learn? Is it something that you have to outsource, right? That could be the resource. So you have to decide what's best for your business, because that's a personal decision for your business, and everybody's business is different. So the second way to solve any problem is through mindset. And we've been talking about mindset this entire time. So I feel like that's just changing what you think about the circumstance or your situation, right? That's just changing what your beliefs are. So that's part of detecting your money lies and questioning those. And then the third way to solve any problem is just to decide. Just you can just decide that it's not a problem, right? I don't know how. Okay. Well, maybe you don't need to know how. Right? Maybe you're just figuring it out. Maybe it's an experiment, right? There's lots of ways you can decide this is just not a problem. And so those are the three ways. And I feel like, when you come up against those I don't know hows, then you just look at that particular situation and you figure out which one of those three ways is the way that you're going to approach that problem.
Mm. That's brilliant, because there's so many of those circumstances. I was actually just texting with a client today, and she's feeling frustrated about a circumstance, and it's not moving along fast enough, and we're not getting answers quickly, and somebody's dropping the ball. And I said, "Well, is this a problem? Like, tell me how." Like, I know it seems like a problem, but tell me how it's really a problem, because it's actually really not. Like, we could decide that it's not a problem, and then we can just move about our day, right? Instead of
Yeah.
putting all of this energy
Yeah.
into the drama of it.
Yeah, and it goes back to what you focus on grows. If you focus on all the problems, guess what's going to grow?
Right.
You're going to find a
All
lot
the
more problems
problems.
to solve.
Yeah. Right. Oh, so good. Well, those were the lies that I felt like really stood out to me, but I know there was more in the book. So any other lies that you feel like, especially around entrepreneurs and that come up for people?
Yeah, some of the most common, and they're not necessarily in the book, but a lot of the ones that I see in my clients as I'm working with, my one-on-one clients or in my foundation to master your money mindset group, is my price is too high. And one thing that I learned when I went to get certified as a life coach, all of the experienced coaches will say this: it's never about the price.
Yeah.
So your price is never too high, because your price should be geared toward your ideal customer. And so if that's true, then your price is never too high, right? I don't know how, we already talked about, I'll have to sacrifice my life, my family, my security, fill in the blank,
Yeah.
right, to have this business. Another one is, it'll be hard to make the kind of money I want. Another one that's really common among my clients, and this can probably be phrased a couple of different ways: money is complicated. So another version of that is, building a business is complicated,
Yeah.
right? That's definitely a money lie, and it will keep you stuck. because you'll start to believe this is too complicated. I can't figure it out.
Yeah.
Another one is like some version of it probably won't work. It won't amount to anything. It'll be a waste. That's a really popular one. I'm taking away from my family. It's selfish of me. It's indulgent.
That one hurts my heart a little because I
Yeah.
just think like, wow, if you actually show, I mean, I work with a lot of women, I work with a lot of moms, and when they have such a passion and a fire, when they actually start doing it and they're like, they beam, they're like
Yeah.
so proud of themselves. And I just think like, wow, what an amazing example and the energy that you're bringing back to your family.
Yeah.
You know, the example are being for your kids, like, yes, you are taking some time away from them, but you are growing yourself and you're bringing a better version of yourself
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. And ultimately, I think it's very life-giving, right?
Yeah.
Because when you give in that way, when you contribute to the world in that way, it's very life-giving, it's very energizing. And you bring that energy and that life that you're, that life-giving energy you're creating back to your family. You're bringing those financial resources back to your family. So, I would just turn that straight around and say, no, I'm not taking from my family. I'm giving back. I'm
Yeah.
giving back to my family. I'm giving back to the world. It's not selfish. It's life-giving. It's energizing.
Yeah. Becoming who you were meant to be, stepping into your potential is
Yeah.
helping your family. It's for your
And
family.
the last one was just, we have a lot of drama as entrepreneurs around time and effort, right?
Yes.
Time and effort equals success. And I don't have time, therefore I won't be successful. That's probably the biggest one. It causes a lot of fear. And so it, kind of depletes them both mentally, physically, even spiritually when they believe that, because, here, this is, some part of their dream, right? That they could give back to the world in this way. And, when they think that it's not possible, it's just so defeating and so discouraging. And so it causes a lot of fear, a lot of resistance. And, they make it mean something about them, so they become afraid that they can't do it, so they just don't do it, and then they end up failing ahead of time.
Right.
And instead of giving them themselves a
Yeah.
chance to succeed.
Well, it goes back to I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I'm a loser. I can't figure things out. I waste money. I'm not good with money. All of those things that come up. Yeah. What you make it mean. Right.
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh. Well, I can't believe this hour's flown by, but I want you to tell people, I mean, you talked about resources and getting help, and certainly, of course, food business success is a place where you get a ton of resources and accountability and support and cheerleading. But I'd love for you do have a foundation to master your money mindset group. So would you tell people where they can find you, and if you want to share more about that group starting soon?
Yeah, I have a new group, another iteration of this group that is coming up March 22nd, and enrollment opens March 8th. So you'll be able to go to my website, jillwrightcoaching.com/more money, or you can just click on the group coaching tab and find out more about that. What we do is I walk you through my Master Your Money Mindset process. And so MASTER is a 6-step process. Each letter in MASTER stands for something from money lies to awareness to scrutinizing those money lies, transforming your identity, expanding your possibilities, and reinforcing your identity. And I teach all of those components in the group. Plus, I walk alongside you and I provide live coaching on a group call each week. And it will show you exactly the steps you need to take to master some of those money lies. It'll also show you how to detect those money lies and how to question them.
That's great. Yeah, I'm glad you're doing that and opening it up to more more folks from all over. So it's so great. And if you're listening to it past that date, I'm sure go to your website. You want to tell people your website and where else they can find you. I know you have a podcast too. So.
Yeah, jillwrightcoaching.com is my website. And if you're listening to this after March 22nd, you can certainly get on the wait list so that when enrollment opens up again, you can be notified and go ahead and join the group. And I'm also on Facebook and Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn. Jill Wright Coaching is my handle on those. And I would love to connect with you, find out more about you, and just help you see what's possible for your business.
Yeah. Oh, this is so good. Well, I so appreciate your time today, and you've been very generous with your knowledge and your insights. And I know this is such a great way to kick off this series because money is just energy. It's an exchange, like you said, of value, and then we layer all of our stories, right, from childhood on up. Layer all of that on top of it. And then we start a business and, and then we just like start digging out the crap. It's all in there, right?
And it's normal. I mean, I think it's important for you to understand that it is completely normal. So you shouldn't judge yourself about any of this drama that you have, because even life coaches have a lot of drama.
Definitely. So, and for a lot of my folks, they've not taken risks like this out, that this is a risk, of financial risk, an emotional risk. They're really putting themselves out in a new way. And so getting control of our money drama, being willing to see it, is just going to really help us be able to make those financial investments and be more clear-headed about decisions as we invest in our business. And we're doing it out of the right energy and the right reasons, whether we spend or don't spend.
Well, thanks so much for having me. This has been so much fun.
Yes, I know. I feel like I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just getting started on money, but
I know I could talk about this topic all day.
You do talk about it all day.
I do.
Love it. Well, thank you, Jill. I really appreciate your time today.
Yeah. Thanks, Sari.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. That was so good. I hope you're feeling maybe a little relief around money, at least open to exploring your money lies. And of course, if you want help, I would love to help you inside food business success. I want to remind you, hopefully you listened to the bonus episode on April 1st about the generosity challenge for April. You heard the origin of I kind of came up with it on the fly in this interview. But this is 30 days of generosity, of going out there and spreading, going above and beyond with your words, with your action, with your time, really being mindful about how can you be more generous in the world. And then of course I have that challenge to you to go take a certain amount of money that's uncomfortable, slightly out of your comfort zone, and go to a farmer's market, go to a market, somewhere ideally where you can interact with the producer with the intention of having so much fun, being sold to, getting excited, and generously, with a smile on your face, purchasing their products and really making their day. And honestly, you're going to walk away feeling amazing. And go and enjoy that product or give it to somebody who will love it. You are going to start filling yourself up, and you're going to open yourself up to more generosity to come back to you. I would love for you to share your experience of this over in the private Facebook group, and let's really celebrate all of our generosity and the amazing abundance that we are creating in the local packaged food scene. And until next time, have an amazing week. Are you ready to start that delicious idea that you make in your home kitchen or grow your existing packaged food business and take it to the next level? The most successful food business entrepreneurs have support, guidance, focus, and accountability to help them make it happen quickly without wasting time or money. Plus, I think starting your packaged food business should actually be fun. Food business success is your secret ingredient to creating your food business dream. Please don't go this alone. Check out the private free Food Business Success Facebook group to connect with other foodpreneurs, get your questions answered quickly, share your wins, and receive special training and tools I only share inside the private community. Just search for Food Business Success on Facebook or get the link in the show notes. Curious about how Food Business Success can help you? Head over to foodbizsuccess.com and fill out the application to see if you're a great fit for the program. Together, let's make your food business dream a reality.